everyone to our weekly Northern Nevada Disaster Cycle Services Volunteer Opportunities and Updates meeting. You are being recorded and it is being transcribed so that we can share this video of this meeting out with those who were not able to attend us live right now. Please, at any time during the meeting, you guys, if you have questions about anything we're discussing or something to add to the conversation, please break in. This is not the Bear Show. This is the Northern Nevada Volunteer Opportunities Show. So please do not be shy about asking any questions. If you have a question, it is possible that other volunteers have the same question. If you're watching the recording of this and questions come up for you, please shoot me an email or a text or give me a call. I am bear.lewis. My information there is at the top of the agenda, which will be shared out tomorrow along with the video of this meeting. I'm the Disaster Program Manager here in Northern Nevada, and I am your connection to all things disaster related with Red Cross. And I'm your connection to our community partners and our government partners in regards to disaster response when it relates to mass care of people. So, any questions about that before we get rocking and rolling, you guys? Okay. Well, first, welcome to all, especially to a brand new Disaster Cycle Services volunteer we had join the team yesterday, Seth M. He's out of Reno, Nevada, and he's going to be helping support our home fire campaign team. So he's taken some training right now, and he is looking forward to connecting with our home fire campaign team that goes out on Wednesdays and possibly Fridays in the future. Happy birthday this week. We have 5 birthdays. Robert Allen, who is not right in Northern Nevada, but supports our team as our deployment specialist. So anytime we have questions about deployment opportunities, Robert Allen is the volunteer we can go to, and he can answer our questions. So happy birthday, and thank you for your support, Robert. Stacey S is also having a birthday tomorrow on the 15th, followed by Kirk Yates on the 19th, and Daisy Breeze and Alan Yuki on the 20th. So happy birthday, volunteers. If you know those volunteers, please reach out to them personally and give them a happy birthday wish. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, I was dropped during the middle of the meeting and other challenges occurred, and the video did not record for whatever reason of our last week's meeting, so I was not able to share that out last week like I normally do. It was a really short meeting. We're going to cover a lot of the same things that we covered at that meeting this week. So if you attended, I apologize for some duplication, but I wanted to be able to share some important information that we covered last week that wasn't able to be recorded and shared with everyone. Does anyone have any questions about that or feedback? Okay. For those who attended, I'm really sorry for all of the challenges. I tried to have host the meeting from Winnemucca for the first time and just, ran into some snafus. So have made those corrections so it will not happen in the future the next time we're live from Winnemucca. Some important information to share with everyone. We have had 1 disaster action team response this month. Michael Allgaier and Chris Butson, thank you so much for going out. It was in Carson City. We were able to support 2 individuals that were displaced and gave them $640 to support their recovery efforts. So thank you guys again. You guys may have seen that there was a large apartment fire in Reno. Thankfully, it was new construction and no one had actually been living in those apartments. So the fire department did not call us. There was no one who was displaced from their homes, so support was not needed in that one. If you can, please sign up for shifts when you're available for the Reno Washoe response area. You can utilize this link to this online survey Again, this agenda will go out to everyone tomorrow along with the video, and so you can access it there, or you can sign up for shifts via RC Respond. You do not need to do both. If you sign up in RC Respond and those shifts work for you, that's great. You do not need to complete the survey. If you want to check out some more schedule options, you can fill out the online survey and we'll make sure that's translated over to the duty officers who are on schedule and know that you're available to respond. Does anyone have any questions about signing up for shifts in RC Respond or utilizing the online survey? And again, this is for our disaster action team responders. Okay. As always, is included in the agenda is our link to all of our 2024 fiscal year DAT responses. So you can have an overview of just to see really quickly where we've responded, how frequently we've responded since July 1st of this year. If you have any questions about that tool or the information that's within it, let me know. You will see that there are a bunch of highlighted yellow cells. Those cells need information, and it's information that I have not been able to obtain on my own, so I'm waiting to hear back from others. So if you're wondering why there's yellow cells or missing information, it's because it's coming but not yet available to me. Our home fire campaign has been really busy this month. They've already visited 11 homes, supported 27 residents who live in those homes by installing 41 smoke detectors and making those homes safer. Our communications team put out a lot of public service announcements. I've been talking about our smoke detector installation campaign at any and every public meeting I go to, as well as a number of other individuals on our team. So it's really helped increase the requests for those smoke detector installations. Our teams go out every Wednesday and Friday. If we get a large number of requests in an area, we can always do like a mini sound the alarm event. So please continue to put the word out there about our home fire campaign, what they do and how we can help make homes safer. We install the traditional smoke detectors as well as the vibrating and flashing detectors for those who may have hearing challenges and may not hear or wake up from a traditional smoke detector. So really incredible way that we can get out there, support our communities, especially going into the winter when we're certain to see an increase of home fires for multiple reasons. We support individuals who live in sometimes non-traditional housing like RVs or trailers, and it gets cold in our desert overnight. So sometimes individuals will choose to use heating systems that may not be appropriate or cannot keep up with the demand of those non-traditional houses. And sometimes fires start. Frequently fires start. So we'll see an increase in those types of fires. We will also see an increase in traditional home fires because of heating systems, cooking accidents, and of course, all of the extra lighting and electrical stuff that we all love to add at the holidays to bring more bling to our holidays spirit. So all of those things contribute to an increase in number of house fires, non-traditional home fires, as well as other type of disaster action team calls. Last year, because of the weight of all the snow, we saw some trees fall over on houses. We could have flood potential this winter as well. So all things that our disaster action team responders get on quickly, and also an opportunity for us to have conversations throughout our communities about our preparedness programs like the home fire campaign. So does anyone have any questions about our disaster action team responses or our home fire campaign efforts? Okay. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yes.
excellent. Excellent. The silence for a moment scared me after last week, so I'm glad you can still hear me. Thank you, guys. So some things that happened since our last meeting. I, along with all of the other staff, Tiandra included, throughout the region, attended our Utah-Nevada regional retreat. It was the first time I attended, as well as the first time Tiandra attended, so we don't really have other retreats to compare them to. But it was a really great opportunity to get together with a lot of other staff from throughout the region who support our efforts, but are unseen because most of their efforts are done from Utah or from Southern Nevada and not necessarily in our Reno chapter office. So really great opportunity to do that. There was a really neat exercise that I'm hoping we can bring to Northern Nevada for our volunteers as well as our youth volunteers and community at large. But it was something called Raid Cross that our Service to Armed Forces does. And we went through different stations that gave us a better understanding of international law and how that applies in war zones and wartime efforts. So really cool experience. One station had you like got little foam footballs and you had to make really quick decisions on targets. Like if you were someone who were, I guess, dropping explosives or aiming explosives at targets. And it was interesting to see how quick your mind had to quickly make that decision. And my aim was terrible, though I did aim at appropriate targets. Some people just threw the ball and hit churches and all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's a little fun exercise in quick reaction time. Another station, we did a little bit of an obstacle course. There was a bunch of strings that were kind of strung across an area with some cones and some other things to indicate landmines. And a blindfolded person had to walk through the obstacle course using the direction of all the other team members verbally. And then once at the end, had to have a conversation with a representative from a hostile nation who did not want to allow Red Cross into their nation to support those impacted by the war. So really cool. That was two of the stations. There were two other stations. I won't go into great detail, but really cool experience. And I think our volunteers and, like I said, our youth volunteers and other interested community partners may be interested in learning about international law and how Red Cross supports during those efforts. Does anyone have any questions about the retreat we attended? Or Tiandra, do you have anything that you would like to add about the retreat?
I don't have any questions and nothing I would like to add right now, just kind of listening in and seeing what your guys' meetings are all about and then see how I could contribute in the future.
Awesome. And for those of you who are not aware on this call, Tiandra Rushing is our new executive director here in Northern Nevada. So really thrilled to have you on the call, Tiandra. Please ask questions along the way, pitch in whenever you feel comfortable, because that's what this meeting is all about. It's an opportunity for our volunteers and disaster cycle services to engage, find out what's going on, ask questions, and learn about other opportunities from other lines of service who want to share with us about what they have going on. So welcome and thank you for joining us. Also, this past week, we had the Veterans Day, and it should say chicken and waffle breakfast at our office that was sponsored by our youth volunteers. Again, not directly related to disaster cycle services, but all of our volunteers were welcome to join in the fun and support their efforts. We did have a few volunteers and veterans show up, but the most fantastic thing was how many youth volunteers were there from Coral Academy and Galena High School. I think at one point there were over 30 students there supporting. It was incredible. And then right afterwards, we had a really fun opportunity to do hands-only CPR presentations to 24 of those students. So not only was it a really fun, cool event for them to sponsor and host for our veterans, but they also helped support our preparedness efforts by becoming trained so they can support their community at large. And it contributed to some of our goals as far as the number of presentations we want to give in a year. So that was really fun to get together with them. Hopefully we'll have a lot more opportunities to engage with their teams. They're looking for more opportunities in disaster cycle services, as well as to support our other lines of service. So really cool, fun event. Anyone have any questions about the hands-only CPR that we did or about the chicken and waffle breakfast? Okay. Well, earlier today, may still be happening, Bruce Burwager and Jim Rich went out to Fallon and they did some shelter site visits with the emergency manager there out in Fallon. And what that involves is us usually meeting with an emergency manager or an individual who represents the county or operational area for sheltering needs, mass care needs. And we meet with them at particular locations we're considering to use as shelters should a disaster response happen in their operational area. So Fallon is one of our due communities, and that means it's an area we've identified to focus on because of the certain vulnerabilities among the population in that area. Specifically in Fallon, there is a huge percentage of retired individuals, those with access and functional needs. And so we're really looking at how we can address those needs should a disaster occur, but also really focusing on their community as a whole and how all of our lines of service can support that community during preparedness, during response, and during recovery. But also, how can we bring training services to them? How can we get our service to armed forces involved? And how can we recruit more volunteers in those areas so that we really have a huge presence? If you guys have any questions about due communities, it's a perfect time to ask, because Tiandra, that's a lot of what her role is as executive director, not only focusing on all of our counties and operational areas within Northern Nevada, but those communities and how we can really facilitate conversations to make them more resilient throughout the year. So any questions for me or Tiandra about our due communities or about the shelter site visits that Bruce Burwager and Jim Rich were out doing today? Okay. We have a lot of upcoming events and opportunities, you guys. I'm not going to even say we have a few. We have a lot. So happening right now, sponsored by our office neighbors at Intermountain Electric at the Reno chapter office. They are hosting a food drive right now, a Thanksgiving food drive in cooperation with the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. So if you happen to be near the office and you have some food items that you can drop off, they're open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and they're just down from us in Suite 105. If you have any questions about the types of donations that are accepted or anything else, you can give this phone number a call for more information. Tomorrow from noon to 2 p.m., we have reunification training available. It's 2 hours. During this training, participants will have the opportunity to complete both. And it's really as a last minute effort to get more individuals trained for mass fatality responses. One of the worries is that with Formula One festivities happening this weekend, that there could potentially be an event that would require our support at a family assistance center. Usually, family assistance centers are opened when there has been a mass casualty event or something significant has caused a lot of injury or fatality to a number of individuals in a particular spot. So Formula One is happening this weekend in Las Vegas, so we're trying to get as many people trained up as possible. Also, what we support at the Family Assistance Center, and primarily what we do, is reunification, helping people who have lost one another get back together. So we support the families who've been impacted by loss, but also we're working really hard to reunite people with those who they may have lost track of in the chaos. So there's going to be a survey going out, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on, just gauging everyone's availability. If you happen to be available this weekend, starting Friday night, actually starting Thursday night, the 16th at 8 p.m., we're looking for volunteers to be on standby to respond within an hour, hit the road, head to Vegas, should something occur. There haven't been any threats, nothing that we're aware of beyond the instability that's going on throughout the world right now with Gaza and Israel. So a lot of the Formula One vehicles are owned by foreign countries, and they're potential targets. So there is some heightened awareness, but not any specific threats that we've been made aware of. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. As I said, I'm going to mention it a little bit further on in the meeting, and there is a link for you guys to let us know when you're available via a survey, if you're available to hit the road at a moment's notice and head to Vegas this weekend. Another big warning about that is because there's a huge event going on, there's probably no hotel or motel rooms available, and it would be a staff shelter situation. We would probably all be bunking up at the office down there in Vegas. So if you happen to be one of those individuals willing to go, we're suggesting you bring sleeping bags, all your sleeping stuff, anything that you would need to be comfortable in a staff shelter situation. This is a precursor to the Super Bowl that is also coming up in February that will be in Las Vegas. So we're going to have probably similar trainings and a similar survey that's going to go out before the Super Bowl because it's such a big high profile event. Again, no immediate threats or particular threats that we've been made aware of, but it's just what we do for our readiness posture when that many people are getting together in one place. Also tomorrow, from 3:30 to 5 p.m., there is a Hill Fire after action review with Washoe County. Are you guys wondering, when was the Hill Fire? The Hill Fire was that little fire that started up actually on the California side of the border, but impacted evacuations in Verdi last month. So we're doing a little after action review with Washoe County, going over the things that worked, some things that we would like to see work better the next time we have a similar response. I will be there and Jim Rich will be there. It's on Spectrum Boulevard in Reno at the Regional Emergency Operations Center. If you guys have any interest in going with us, checking it out, seeing what that is all about, please let me know. You can carpool with either Jim or me, or you can meet us there. But it's kind of a cool opportunity to hear the conversation that happens between the different response agencies after an event has occurred. On the 16th, we have our Utah, Nevada region orientation for new volunteers. It's online. It's from 2 to 3 p.m. and the link to sign up is in the agenda. Also on the 16th from 2 to 3 p.m., we have our direct services and response management team office hours. Again, this is an online opportunity. It's not a regulated schedule meeting, as it's more an opportunity if you have questions from our direct services and response management team about how we plan for responses in Utah, Nevada. It's an opportunity for you to reach out to them and ask questions directly. So probably not something most of you will want to attend, but if you're curious about it, please do. Any questions about either the region orientation for new volunteers or the direct services and response management team office hours. Excuse me. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this whole weekend, the 16th through the 18th, standby responders are needed. I'm not going to repeat what I've already said, but I am going to send out this agenda tomorrow with the video, and it's going to have a link for the online survey for you to let us know if you're available to cover any or all of the weekend should a response be activated there in Las Vegas. Any questions about anything so far? Okay. On Friday morning, the 17th, Gene Held has arranged a partner meeting with Emergency Eviction Prevention Program of Nevada, which they help people who've been displaced for whatever reason. It doesn't necessarily have to be because their home burnt down, but it could be because their home burnt down. So if we have some individuals that would like their support, we're going to find out more about what they do and how that support can be accessed. If you guys are interested in joining us at that meeting, listening in on the conversation or how those conversations go, you're more than welcome. It's going to be at the Reno office at 10 a.m. Gene Health, Jim Rich, and I will be there, as well as some other volunteers that Gene has invited. But anyone is welcome to see how it all comes together, how we have these conversations with community partners and figure out what they do, what we do, and how we can work together to support individuals in our communities. The other cool thing about their program, if I'm understanding correctly, is that they support all of Nevada. So hopefully this is a resource we'll be able to share with our Southern Nevada team as well. Any questions about partner meetings or this particular upcoming partner meeting? Okay. On the 20th, we have our Disability Integration Team Regional Meeting. This is an opportunity for all volunteers who may have a disability integration gap or group activity position or is interested in supporting those teams can join this meeting and find out what's happening at a regional level, what should be happening at a chapter level to support our disability integration teams, and answer any questions you may have about disability integration in general. So again, the link to sign up is in the agenda that will be shared out with everyone. Also on the 20th, we have our regional mass care meeting. It's an online opportunity, again, includes all volunteers from our mass care teams throughout Utah and Nevada that are interested in attending, an opportunity to get together, talk about sheltering, feeding, distribution of emergency supplies, and I think it will also include some conversation about our IDC, our disaster health services teams, our disaster mental health, and our disaster spiritual care teams. So if you're interested in finding out more about what the mass care team does at a regional level, or how our chapter mass care volunteers can support the regional mass care team, that might be a meeting for you. And again, the link to sign up is going to be in the agenda. Also on the 20th, it's a busy day for Red Cross. We have our Northern Nevada Chapter Disaster Action Team meeting. So Jim Rich will be hosting that. He's going to be sending out an email probably today or tomorrow if he has not done it already, as well as a reminder on Monday. But that meeting will be at 6 p.m. You can join in person at the Reno office or attend online via the link that Jim sends out. Does anyone have any questions about our upcoming disaster action team meeting? Quiet crew today. Okay, 1 week from today, we are having this same meeting from 4 to 5 p.m. as we always do. It is going to be virtual only next week. The following week on the 28th, we're going to be in person in Winnemucca. Right after the meeting, we're having a little get together for our Central Nevada and Eastern Nevada volunteers who can make it. We haven't decided yet if we're going to have Thanksgiving food, since everybody will be coming back from a Thanksgiving celebration, or if we're going to go with a different fare. But it's an opportunity for us to all get together, say hello to one another, and meet and greet. If you guys are interested in carpooling out to Winnemucca from our Reno chapter office, please use a chapter vehicle. I'm sure our volunteers out there would love the opportunity to meet some of you and engage. So if you feel like a trip out to the center of the desert, please use a Red Cross vehicle and bunk up with another volunteer or two and meet us out there in Winnemucca for a celebration at our office. I would love for as many people to see our Winnemucca office as possible. Any questions about those upcoming meetings? Okay. I want to take this opportunity to invite anyone who knows of an event that our volunteers may want to participate in, or that Red Cross can support, either through Disaster Cycle Services or one of our other lines of service, or just something you want all the volunteers to know about. Please email Jean and me with the details of those events, and we'll put them on our Disaster Cycle Services calendar that's in Volunteer Connection. The things we need to know: who's hosting the event, who's invited to the event, what support is needed, are there volunteers or other types of support that Red Cross might be able to provide, where is the event, when is the event, and then all of the relevant contact information. So if anyone has any questions, they know who to reach out to. So please keep us in mind when you see things that are happening out in the community that might be Red Cross related or disaster related, or that we could benefit from making an appearance at and getting out there in our communities. I would say it would be especially awesome to pay special mind to events that we see happening in Fallon or in the North Valleys area of Washoe County. That would be Sun Valley, Panther Valley, Lemon Valley, Hungry Valley. Those are our due communities, and we're looking for every opportunity to get in those communities and engage and connect with community partners who might be able to collaborate with us in providing support to their communities. Any questions about that, or what may be appropriate or inappropriate for that? Okay, quiet team today. As I do at each meeting, I talk about different areas of need within our chapter. So one we touched on, which is the shelter outreach, like Jim and Bruce are doing out in Fallon today. We're looking for more locations that we can go do those site assessments at that could work as potential shelters or family assistance centers or multi-agency resource centers during a disaster response. It could be churches or other non-government owned locations that could support any of those needs. So if you're interested in doing some outreach, it might be on the ground scouting and visiting places, or it might be pulling up phone numbers off the internet and making some phone calls. But we're really just trying to make connections with any of those entities that may be interested in supporting during a disaster response. It's a totally scripted thing that would be easy for anyone to do. It's just asking a couple of questions and then setting up or getting a phone number of someone from our sheltering team could call to make an appointment for the visit. So if you're interested in supporting doing that shelter outreach, please let me know. We need the same thing for our feeding partner outreach, which is reaching out to those potential feeding partners, whether they be other nonprofit organizations or restaurants or catering companies, anybody who may be able to support the feeding needs of clients during a disaster response. So both of those are opportunities to do outreach in your local community or in other Northern Nevada communities to get us ready for a disaster should it occur. We may have another big flood winter, so we may be utilizing these partners sooner than later. So let me know if you have any questions about what we're trying to achieve or anything about it at all. Do we have any questions online right now?
Sharie, I do have a quick question. This is Tiandra.
Hi, Tiandra.
Is there any like locations or counties that you're specifically looking for additional shelters or feeding locations? Are you talking all counties? Kind of what does that picture look like?
Well, it's really all counties because all of our counties could potentially be impacted by disaster. Specifically in the Reno Washoe area, we're really trying to focus on our North Valleys, finding partners in those locations for multiple efforts, but in addition to feeding and shelter locations. So that would be Sun Valley, all of the North Valleys, Panther Valley, Lemon Valley. Hungry Valley, we already have an identification, a location identified, and we're working with the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. So I would say we're good for Hungry Valley. But anywhere kind of up north, any churches, anybody that anybody knows about would be great for us to do outreach to. And then Fallon is another one of our due communities, though Al Wagner has done a phenomenal job. And we've already connected with all of those, not all of those, a lot of those partners at this time. We do need to do some additional outreach to the churches, though, and the faith community. But he is taking care of all of our government partners, which is really nice. As far as other communities, I would say wherever we have volunteers that want to support those efforts would be incredible.
Sharie,
Yes.
this is Marisa.
Hi.
So, hi. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. As a Catholic, as a practicing Catholic, I can pretty much speak for. Well, I can't really speak for the priests, but they may open their churches, because I know that here in Carson City, the priest here opens St. Teresa's up for the homeless a month during the winter time, as do like 4 other churches. I'm not sure that like the one cathedral in Reno is big enough. That's the problem, is the actual space.
Yeah, and not all churches work. Sometimes they'll work as a family assistance center or a family resource center where partners can come together and provide resources, but not necessarily overnight accommodations for people. So they're really great partners to have the conversations with, even if they're not necessarily going to work as overnight shelter locations with dormitories. Though I will say we're trying to prioritize those locations we know could work as an overnight dormitory, if that makes sense, just because that's going to be our first major need should an evacuation or event occur.
If you contact the diocese, someone in the diocese can I would say they would give you a whole bunch of different resources. Not only that, but Catholic Charities. I think, if I'm not mistaken, do you guys also work with them?
Yep. In fact, Catholic Charities is our primary feeding partner in the Washoe, Reno, and extended area, because they can feed up to thousands of people almost with no notice, as long as we can get the food to them to prepare. So they're remarkable partners. And I have not had the conversation with them specifically about shelter locations, but need to. So that's some more outreach that needs to occur, and they may have the quick connect points for each of the dioceses that we need to speak with to say, yeah, are there other locations that would work for these overnight dormitories?
And
we
I'm
have
sure that they do. Seriously, I'm
yeah.
sure they do.
And we have really strong relationships too with the Church of Latter-day Saints. And so a lot of times it's working with those individual community locations, and sometimes it's working with an overarching, I'm forgetting the terminology, but the leaders in their church. So that's the type of outreach we're looking for, is having those conversations and talking about where can you feed, how many people can you feed, how much notice do you need, do you have the food, the people, the everything, or do you just have the food and the people, but no way to deliver it? Or do you have a way to prepare it and volunteers to prepare it, but no way to get the food? Working out those details, so if a disaster occurs, we can know how to quickly engage those partners and which partners make the most sense based on the number of people being impacted. So Catholic Charities, like I said, is our go-to for feeding for big events. So when we see people evacuating from California and we're supporting hundreds of individuals, they're definitely our go-to. But they may not be the best option for, let's say, a shelter where we're only sheltering 25 people and we're in a community location where a community partner or restaurant may be better suited to support, because there's a lot of individuals and a lot of community who want to support what's happening in their neighborhood. And if we go directly to a major partner, always like Catholic Charities, then some of those opportunities for partners, they don't get those opportunities and they feel a little bit left out. So we want to make sure we can engage as many community partners in our efforts to provide sheltering and for feeding. For sheltering, a lot of times we'll go to community centers or government-owned properties, but it's not always the best option for the clients we're serving. If it's smaller groups of individuals, they'd be a lot more comfortable at a church than at a convention center. So we're just trying to look for as many options and community partners out there to engage as possible. Any more questions or anything else I can help add to that conversation to bring clarity to what our efforts are? Okay, we're getting close to the end, you guys, and that means I'm going to talk about deployment opportunities. There are still disasters that we're responding to as a national organization. We're looking for recovery workers in Gainesville, specifically Spanish-speaking recovery workers, though. Disaster mental health workers, also in Gainesville. And then disaster health services, there's opportunities to support virtually and in Maui. So if you guys have the time available and you qualify for any of those positions and would like to deploy, please reach out to me and we can get you connected and on your way. Any questions about deployment opportunities? For everyone's awareness, last night the shelter count across the nation was still 6,900. So there are still a significant number of people being supported by Red Cross throughout the nation. Most of those are still those who were impacted by the fire on Maui and are being supported in non-congregate sheltering in hotels, motels, and condos. So a lot happening still there on Maui. Thankfully, their local workforce, their volunteers, and then those who have been hired on in temporary positions with Red Cross are able to support those needs. That's why we're not seeing as many deployment opportunities for Maui, even though there's still so many individuals being supported. And this is when, as a final reminder, I ask all of you, hey, if you attended, please record your hours. Even if you watched this later on video, please record your hours. Anything and everything that you do that's Red Cross related counts as hours worked. And that provides great talking points to people on our team like Tiandra, who's going out and looking for support from our community partners throughout Northern Nevada. It lets her say, hey, our disaster cycle services workers have volunteered this many hours in this area and are supporting your communities in these ways. And that incentivizes them to support our efforts and donate to the Red Cross. So, as always, reach out if you have any questions about how to record your hours. I can always do a quick run through if you guys have forgotten, but it's that center red button in the middle of your volunteer connection screen that says add hours. And a final reminder, I hope to see as many of you as possible on November 28th in person at our Winnemucca office for our Thanksgiving celebration with our Central and Eastern Nevada volunteers and partners. In closing, does anyone have anything to add? Did I miss anything that I should have added to this agenda? Rick, it's nice to see you.
Hi, Sharie. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Pretty good. Say,
Good.
I joined kind of late, and you were talking about this Las Vegas potential for people to travel down there. Could you explain a little bit more about what that might be and how you would get there and get back and how long it might be lasting for?
Well, I will answer as many of those things as I can. So they're asking for as many volunteers as possible to be on standby between the 16th and the 18th for any type of mass casualty event that could occur, or other disaster for that matter that could occur as a result of all of the people being in the Las Vegas area for the Formula One festivities. The travel would be from the Reno office, and it may involve people carpooling in the IRV and or other vehicles, depending on how many responders were needed and how many responders were going.
Okay.
That being said, the request is that anyone who is willing and able to sign up and go, be willing and able to go within 1 hour of notice. So that would mean hopping in the car, being at the Reno office an hour after that notification or drive time. Or if you're coming from another part of Nevada and you wouldn't necessarily be coming from the Reno office, it would be grabbing a vehicle in Winnemucca or in Elko if you're closest to those areas and driving those vehicles down to Vegas.
Okay.
With the anticipation that most responders who receive that notification would be able to be in Vegas within 8 to 12 hours.
All right, I understand. Thank you.
I think I covered most of the questions. Oh, the length of time would just depend on the size of event. But my guess is if they call the team from Northern Nevada because we're the furthest away, it would probably be for 3 days.
All right, got it. Thank you very much for that explanation.
Absolutely. Any other questions I can answer or things that we want to add on to this meeting? Okay, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. I cannot wait to see you again next week. I expect maybe we'll have light attendance because it's Thanksgiving week, but I'd love to see your face. We will, as always, be recording it if you're not able to attend. And then I really hope to see you in a couple weeks in Winnemucca if you can make it. Have a wonderful afternoon, you guys. Take care.
Thank you. You too.